Show with Deborah Prinzing. This is episode 588. A few weeks ago, we had a virtual visit to the big island of Hawaii to meet farmer florist Christian Ingalls of Daisy Duke's Flower Farm. Today, we're journeying to the Canadian province of Manitoba, where it's quite the opposite weather-wise. But you'll be warmed by my guests' positive energy and inspiring story. You may remember meeting Lourdes Still of Masagana Flower Farm and Tinta Studio during our March 2021 Slow Flowers member meetup. The theme was diving into dye plants. And Lourdes was one of 3 expert members who shared about how they integrate plant-based natural dyes into their cut flower farms. In the last 18 months, a lot has happened at Masagana Flower Farm, and I asked Lourdes to share how her entire business focus has shifted to on-farm experiences built around growing and crafting with dye plants. By partnering with Tourism Manitoba and taking advantage of mentorship and grant programs for small businesses in her region, Lourdes has leveraged her microfarm and textile studio into a flower destination that soon will draw customers not only during flower farming season, but year-round. This episode is in 2 parts. First, you'll watch the conversation I recorded recently with Lourdes, and that will be followed by a short video tour that she filmed of her studio in progress. Let's jump right in right now, and I'll share our sponsor thanks at the end. Hey, everybody. I am so excited today to welcome our special guest, Lourdes Still of Masagana Flower Farm in Manitoba. Hi, Lourdes.
Hi, Deborah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad we finally got this on the calendar. And, we've talked about it
Yeah.
for a while. People may recognize Lourdes. She was part of a group of 3 plant dye experts that we hosted on the Slow Flowers member meetup in 2021. And that blew people's minds. And that was just a quickie. So I wanted something extensive here to hear your story. And you've got some of
And
your
I,
textiles behind you.
yeah, and I can't believe that it's already like a year and so ago. It felt
Right.
like just very recent.
It was in the middle of COVID, and people needed to be inspired, and you and the others were just so inspiring. But you kind of have a hybrid business, so I'd love to have you give us a snapshot of Masagana Flower Farm, and I'll probably pop up some of the pages of your website while we're talking, so people can get a flavor for it. So first of all, thanks for joining me, and give us a snapshot of Masagana.
So I live in an acreage. So we have a 5 acre here, and 1 acre is I guess cleared, and so where the house is. And this place actually, my boyfriend now, who's my husband now, he's already like living outside the city. Um, and so since we met like late 2015 and we started like gardening. He already has like a plot that was like ready to garden in 2016. And then since then, well, actually, after he said to me, after 1 year of like growing our food together, he told me, or he asked me if I knew that lawns are an introduced concept,
Hmm.
and so I mean, maybe I have heard it in the past, and then I look more and read more about it, and yeah, so we were in the same page that the big lawn that we have here, we can turn it into something more productive. So since 2016, we've been transforming our lawn into garden beds. He started with 20 by 30, yeah, and then same approximately amount of like lawn will cover, or we've tried like many things on how to turn the lawn into garden beds. And then 2021 is when we finally have the 4,800 square feet of the lawn into garden
Wow.
beds.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is mostly annuals. I have a 10 by 10 penny plant bed, so I think I have about 20 plants in there, different 5 varieties. 2023 will be the first year that I'm supposed to have. It will be their 3rd year.
Right.
I have shifted. So in my short history as a flower grower, I have shifted to agritourism, or an experiential tourism. This is an example of agritourism. I call it Tinta, Dyer unwearable art experience, or Tinta experience. So I call myself a flower grower, natural dyer, and an experience guide.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop that up on your website because it's wonderful. You've really defined these three features. You're an experienced guide, a flower grower, and a natural dyer. And it's wonderful that you have just sort of organized your website so people can dive into each of these themes, right?
Yeah, you know what? I laugh because I know for my, the marketing people that I work with, we kind of like try to define yourself like as a one person, but I think with just my personality, I cannot be boiled down to one thing. And so I had to say this is who I am. I mean, you just gotta have to roll with it.
Yeah, that's funny. So the marketing coach was like, "No, no, you can only have one kind of brand," and you're like, "No, I can have three."
Yeah, or like, like what would be my I mean, it was still I feel like the business is constantly evolving, but I know that
Mhm.
I found my sweet spot in this experiential tourism,
I
which I
love
call
it.
Tinta experience. Yeah.
But you couldn't have this experiential tourism if you didn't have the flowers. So everything still goes back to growing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, and I think it came from this desire to only use locally grown flowers. But how can I do that and have a viable business in Manitoba, where our growing season we only have approximately, in my specific area, average 102 days, frost-free
Wow.
days.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so
That's incredible. So you have to like extend the seasons in every way possible and create value added kind of revenue streams because of how extreme your conditions are.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
So of the removed lawn, I just have to stop and ask, how much is
Mhm.
devoted to food? Do you let your husband
Mm.
grow a little bit of food or is it
Oh
mostly
my gosh.
flowers?
Oh, we have so last year, no, I run out of room for my flowers, and I'm like, I did grow some of our food in pots, but
Mm,
I'm telling him, and I'm telling myself to no, we gotta dedicate some garden beds for our food. I mean, it's only the two of us anyway, so I don't really need to have maybe more than like I think 4 rows of like 20 feet beds are like
yeah.
plenty. It
Yeah.
just needs for me like to yeah, like with the planning and stuff. But yeah, so we did grow some of our food, but just I did most of them on pots like last year,
Yeah.
container
Yeah.
gardening
No.
for food. Yeah.
I mean, since you're so focused on education, you probably can just use them to teach people when they come to the farm too.
Yeah, and people sometimes they are amazed too on what you can grow in pots, and I think that is kind of like one of the kind of like main thing that I wanted to the message that I want to give across like to people like how with resources that we have right now that already what we have how can we kind of utilize it and looking
Mm,
at a place of like abundance rather than scarcity, which
mhm.
ironically or it's actually the Tagalog or the English translation of Masagana, like abundance.
Really? And it's
Yeah,
Masagana is a Tagalog word that means abundance.
yeah,
Oh, how
prosperity.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. Oh my goodness. So, now because we're talking about what the farm looks like now, talk about
Mhm.
what what are these channels? Experienced guide, flower grower, natural dyer. Like how do you slice up the pie
Yeah,
and and keep it all in
yeah.
in play?
Yeah, so Tinta experience, I describe it as an immersive on-farm floral experience. So it's an example of experiential tourism where the people, tourists go dive really deep into the places that they go to. So they really want to experience like the culture or the people that host these experiences. So that's what I basically do. So I actually now advertise or describe it as a 4 hour experience because in especially this past year 3.5 it's just kind of like really stretching it. So 4 hours you get to learn about how we turn our lawns into garden beds, what are the plants and flowers that we grow, um, and then this guests as they wandering in the garden and learning about the flowers that we're growing, they get to pick the flowers themselves. So that's kind of like the you pick aspect of
Yes.
of the experience. And then, so they fill a basket, and then we go back to my outdoor studio, and then I guide them on how we turn this into like tangible memories of their time at the farm, which is through, so the silk scarf we dye with the flowers that they pick, and then there's also a cotton shawl that they learn surface design, and then we dip that, and so they take home indigo dyed shawl as well. And then at the end of
Wow.
their time together, that creative time, I love Filipino culture revolves around, food, festive, and celebration. So we do have, we end our time with like a small snack, just to like celebrate ourselves for allowing ourselves to. Because most people that come here too, they would say, that they're not creative enough. But
Mhm.
no, that's beside the point. This is a safe space for you to express that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so beautiful. And it's such a nice model based on all of your passions and, um, like utilizing every aspect of your farm. Can you unpack it a little bit? What is the largest city that like how far outside of the like urban area are you?
Yeah, so an hour from Winnipeg. So the city of
Okay.
Winnipeg, just an hour, yeah, on Highway 1. Yeah, it's not
Are you
far, so people love that. It's not a long drive.
No, and are you pretty much drawing from that Winnipeg kind of greater Winnipeg marketplace where people live
Yeah,
urban and they're coming out to the country?
yes, I am. But also, it was interesting. Like this year, I do get a lot of people too from outside the city, so kind of like further east than me. So they could be like an hour, 2 hours from the city of
Hmm.
Winnipeg. So yeah, I'm really happy that it's gaining exposure to like the rural setting. Yeah.
Yeah. And teaching them about what you did with your lawn, to me, that's such a great takeaway because most of the people coming, I'm assuming they're just garden enthusiasts. They're not trying to learn flower farming from you, right? So you're giving them some ideas of what they could do themselves.
Yes, exactly. And they know that we're gonna not gonna go deep dive into technical aspect of natural dye. We just go to the fun part like right away, and yeah. So even though I explained to them what kind of like what we can get out of their end product will be, but I always invite them to like drop their expectation and just be in the process,
Mm,
because it's gonna
love it.
look good, otherwise. Like we just have to embrace the process here. Yeah, we want to take home beautiful things, and I think it's kind of like almost besides the point, even though that's kind of like what you're trying to sell, but also kind of besides the point.
Yeah, but that human desire for like a keepsake or an artifact, you tapped right into that. They want that. What did you say? Like a tangible memory of.
Tangible memory
I
of their
love
time
that. That's
together.
beautiful. So
Yeah.
when they're doing the U pick, are you in kind of steering them toward plants that can be used for pigment, or does everything create a pigment on your farm?
Oh, yeah, that's a really great question, because yeah, so I will tell them which are the ones that I have experience with, dyeing with them, and kind of like know what colors that we can get from them. But I also have to kind of like preach to myself too that hey, because people would like to, they're so curious about like what this flower will like give them, right? And then I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. This is all about experience. So yeah, pick whatever you want, but just but also emphasizing, but these also are the flowers that we know are have dyeing capabilities.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
but it's like yeah, it's any sometimes I do learn during this time too that hey, am I becoming rigid? This is all about experiencing. We want to be surprised by flowers.
So you have to kind of go with the flow too, when depending on their interests and their questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you like? What's your perfect student group size? Like, how many people would you accommodate in one of the sessions?
Yeah, I do a maximum of six because I feel like that's a good number of people for me where I can still interact and then take care of each one of them. I think I can. Yeah. So right now, and what I've hosted in the past, max six.
Yeah, and do you mind telling us how much you're charging for that?
Yeah, so my rate this year was 225 per person plus tax. Um, yeah, it was a jump from 2021. I had 160 per person. but also because I so 2021, so I did offer it, but I was also on a coaching program with my tourism age, not agency, but tourism group, like in my area.
Mhm.
We're actually our facilitator in creating this experiential tourism. They actually have an Excel sheet where you on the costing of the experience. So I was able to put a cost on it that really values my time, and also the resources that needs, that I need to bring to the table to put together this experience.
Yeah, but it sounds like you've expanded it and justified going up to 225. It's, for a half day, like, that seems very reasonable, plus they're getting to take something home with them. And if you think, if you're able to do how many of these? Like, 1 a week, or, like, what is your
So yeah,
pace?
so I have done so August. I would do like two hosting a week. I
Mm,
did like
wow.
Wednesday night, and then mostly like Saturday. Well, afternoon,
Yeah,
Wednesday
yeah,
afternoon, and then yeah, Saturday afternoon.
that's great, and this will continue for next year then?
Yes, and so actually, next year is where when I'm hoping to start offering it on a year round basis, and so the programming would actually shift based on the season. And that can only happen if I have a heated, like, all season a building, which I am. So I could say like 2/3 done with building the studio. Yeah, hopefully we'll open late spring, and then from then on the programming will be like year round.
Wow. Well, I have so many questions. One is, I think that a great takeaway for anyone listening to this who wants to do on-farm experiences, partnering with your tourism group seems like that was a natural for you to get kind of some external support and also promotion, right? How did that come together?
Yeah. Okay, so I think my mindset in the last 2 years was just really trying everything out. I have an idea, let's try it out, so that if it doesn't work, then I move on to the next thing.
I love it.
I attended, so Eastman Tourism, they had an online conference about experiential tourism, and then they eventually have they're piloting a project creating new experiences in our region, and so they had an application for tourism operators. And yeah, so I applied and I got in. So what I got out of that is I kind of like went into the program already have an idea. So I was partnered up with two mentors that I met like regularly, just thinking out of the box and all of the aspect to offer this unique one of a kind experience. Um, and then yeah, so that came about because I was just I think I had my eyes open for every opportunity that I think that I could benefit from.
Right,
And
right.
true enough, like I did, because I think the confidence to to offer something that maybe I've never done before in Manitoba, in a sense that because I'm doing everything. I know that other flower farmers would do the natural dyeing as well, but they bring in the artists with them. But for this one, I am all of it
Yeah, that's
in my
awesome.
business model right now. Yeah.
That's great. And so right before we started recording, you said you had a session with your mentor. Is that the mentor that you've been working with, or is that a
Yeah,
different mentor?
okay. Yeah, it's a different mentor. So that mentor that I was telling you about. So okay, what year are we? 2022. So 2021 is when I was writing my business plan, and I was writing my business plan. I got into the coaching program, and then I actually also was working with a marketing coach that really helped me find my voice and helped me tell my stories well. Okay, so 2021. So and I did Tinta experience in last summer. So I stopped writing the business plan in the summer and then went back writing to it like in the fall, because now I have the data. This is I had 81 people go to this Tinta experience, and this is how a flower farm in Manitoba can be economically viable if I
Oh,
shifted
wow.
to experiential tourism. So submitted that in December, and then there was also a federal grant that opened for new experience tourism operator. So I applied for that grant. So January of this year, I got the news that I got the grant from Travel Manitoba, and then that really helped actually boost my application with Futurepreneur to get the business loan. So together. Um,
Wow.
that has how I got the funding for the studio, and then Futurepreneur, they actually pair you up with a mentor for a minimum of 2 years. So
Okay.
yeah, so yeah.
Wow. So Futurepreneur, is that a federal program then
No,
in
so
Canada?
Futurepreneur is a nonprofit
No.
organization that helps between 18 to 39 startup companies.
Wow.
So I was kind of,
Congratulations. That's
yeah,
amazing.
thank you. And I was rushing that application because I'm turning 40 next year. So I was like, I need to get serious in this and submit my
Oh,
application.
you have to be between 18 or 39 years of age
Yeah,
to qualify. Oh my goodness. Well,
yeah,
that's okay. You're living the right path there because
Mhm.
you took advantage of that opportunity. And you were telling me about it. The business loan, you had a specific goal for that, and that was to build your studio. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. The
Okay, so
loan
tell
and
us about
then
that.
yeah. So the loan and the grant money combined is what funded the studio, which is two-thirds done now. So that yeah, and all my deposits are like paid. So now the trusses takes about like 8 to 9 weeks. So I'm giving myself 8 to 9 weeks to get my a shortfall because oh, Deborah, the inflation and also what do I know about construction?
Right.
I didn't know that I only budgeted for materials and labor, but we had to dig, have a holding tank, and all that stuff. So the building kind of like its own. I mean, it's the power line is connected to the house, but
Right. But all that infrastructure.
yes, yes.
Wow.
But it was so. I must say too that I got I got scared with this. So I got the loan January, February 2022 this year. And you know, like the design aspect, getting all the coats. I did pause for like a month and I almost returned the money
Wow.
because it just felt like once you put on all this deposit, it's a loan that you have to pay back. You know, it just really got scary. It just felt like so grown up thing to do. But when I got past that, chatting with my mentor and just and other community and people that I trust, and so I process it with them, and so like yeah, I'm gonna take the next step, and I did. And I must say, when the walls were like coming rising, with my contractors here, it's just an incredible feeling that it from that uncertainty, they're on the same side of what two sides of the same coin, the uncertainty but also the possibilities. Okay, once the studio is up, I can do more programming, and at the same time, I mean, I did some like community outreach as well. And then I can do more of that too. So
Yeah.
yeah, just like the uncertainty becomes like endless possibilities of what the studio will be all about.
Wow. That's amazing. Can you describe, I know you're going to shoot a little video so we can see it, but roughly what is its size? And um, give us, like, it's on your property. So it's like just a few steps
Yeah.
from your back door, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so the architect that I work with the design, actually, they're the one who suggested, what do you think about you guys building it in the woods? So it's going to be a studio in the woods. It's a
Oh,
22 by 22 structure. It has, so the opening is west facing. So we have the man door. It will have a composting toilet, wheelchair accessible. This will be a wheelchair accessible building too, and so is the washroom. And then we have a big window, and then the back will be a three door patio doors that will open exit to the woods.
oh,
So I
wow.
feel like people that when they come for this Tinta experience, they will not only experience, the gardens which are in front lawns, and then if you go to this studio, and I know that it will feel like kind of like hitting two birds with one
Yeah.
stone, because yeah, you were at a flower farm and then in the garden, and then we get to create in the woods. Yeah, and it is surrounded by aspen forest, which actually gives a dye color, which is my favorite, yellow. So it really felt like I'm in the right spot, you
Oh
know?
my gosh, that's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations, and, I I love that you were honest and shared about the nervousness and the, risk. I mean, eh, honestly, I feel like we're all trying to figure it out. Like, there's no guidebook for how to be a floral
No.
entrepreneur. You just had to kind of seek and be open to all these opportunities. And then at some point, it is down to you and your willingness to tolerate risk, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
got yourself over the hump on that.
Oh my. I mean, actually, my mentor was just saying last week that I sounded differently, 5 months ago when I'm like on the brink of just like returning the money because it just felt like too much. I mean, there was just so much going on too in my life that I don't know if I can do this. And so, kind of like the easy way out is just like
Right.
drop this dream, but persisted on. And oh yeah, I also can't believe that I'm in this, I'm over that hump, and then I'm now on to like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Because I think I see it too, in the lens of service. I mean, just the reviews and testimonials that I got, like the last years that I offered it, I want to do more of that. Like how
Mm,
they are inspired, to go back their own green spaces and try to create more with what they have. And for most of them, they're gardeners, and so they have a new way of interacting with their
yeah.
plants. Which,
Yeah.
so yeah, and okay, I want to do more of that. I want to impact, more people, one garden at a time, I guess.
Yes, I love it. And, just to go back to the page of your website that I showed with the sort of the three buckets of Masagana Flower Farm, the flower grower bucket and the natural dyer bucket also are nurtured by this new studio, I would imagine. Like, this is, you can now produce your dyes there, and it's a working studio. And do you use it for harvesting and storage too, or do you have a different space for that?
Yeah, because I need that because, oh my gosh, like actually allergic to pollens, and so
Oh
even if
no.
I'm harvesting flowers, especially that orange cosmos, I would be like sneezing all day. I'm already like outside. Even my husband, like when so I bring everything in. We have a high ceiling house here, so I have like an 8th year like herb dryer. So that's where I have them. I put them in. This is my secret. I use produce bag. So that's where I fill the flowers and then put them in my air dryer. And even when they're dry and I have to like flip them, and we will just like sneezing. So the studio will be so that the personal life, our house will be like pollen free, and then it will just like stay in the studio.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So that you're in your dining room right now, you said. So you've got shelves and baskets, and like half of the business is taking over your house.
Oh yeah, and actually I've cleaned it already because I just finished my two big markets, and I still have like one market this weekend, which this silk scarves will hopefully get bought. But yeah, most of my flowers still are like in these jars. So the shelf here behind me are full with dried flowers that we've harvested this summer.
Lourdes, this is kind of off topic, but during the growing season, which you said is only 3 months, are you selling fresh flowers? Are you
Oh yeah.
still supplying fresh flowers to your local customers?
Yeah, I do actually, but I focus on that aspect through UPick.
Mm,
And
mm,
then I actually market it like I do. That's the 5 liter bucket, like the black bucket, which I
yes,
would charge it like at 65 plus tax. And people come with I tell them that they can bring another friend so people would share. Yeah, so I dropped doing subscription. But the UPick is still something that people would like
sure.
to come for. Yeah.
And then what is not harvested for you pick customers, that's what you're harvesting to process into your dye products, right? Or
Yeah,
to dry.
so yeah, exactly. So in between the days that we're hosting the Tinta experience, we would just be trying to keep up with the blooms and harvesting. Yeah, like basically every day. It was so fascinating too that sometimes I would worry that we've like over harvested, and then will there be like flowers for like the next day when we're hosting, and then true enough, like Cosmos and Marigold will take a few days, but like Cosmos were like, oh yeah, like it seems like we didn't harvest.
And they perk back up and say, "Pick me."
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love that. I know you've got something big coming up. As you said, you've got this period of time waiting for your trusses, and you have to raise some money for
Yeah.
the shortfall on. And like anybody who's done a home renovation project understands that you're always over budget, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
tell us about this and how we can support you on the Kickstarter.
Yeah, so I'm short $50,000 dollars to finish the studio, and that will complete the construction. So I'm doing a Kickstarter, trying to raise half of that, 25,000, for the 30 days that the Kickstarter campaign will run, and then the other half I'm going to. I mean, if the Kickstarter go well and beyond, then maybe because the other half of the fall short, I'm going to reach out to get another business loan for
Ah,
that.
ah,
Yeah, so the Kickstarter, I'm just finalizing it. I am hoping to have it up and running the end of this week, either December 8 or 9, and that will run
great.
for a month to run some of my fall short.
Wonderful, and best wishes on that. We'll share the link to your Kickstarter when it's up and running.
Thank
And,
you.
I think that what you're doing is a takeaway for a lot of people. So there's so much love and support in this community. I know our listeners are going to want to check that out. And, even,
Thank you.
make a small contribution because it sounds like you probably with Kickstarter different, you have like perks at different levels, right?
Yes, I do have some rewards, and I think I don't know, like you said, like it is my heart and soul. When I host, I know that people have come to Tinta Experience, and they've told me that it felt like they were family, you know. And so I want to continue doing that. So actually, one of the perks is not only we get like a small snack, but we're gonna have a spread of Filipino feast to really have a taste of the culture that I try to celebrate. Yeah, in my teen experience.
Oh my gosh. How big is the Filipino community in Winnipeg and
Oh my gosh,
Manitoba? Is it
I,
significant?
it is significant, and I should know the number, but I don't. But I know too that our language, like Tagalog, is like the second most spoken word, like in the city. So yeah, we do have a big Filipino community in Winnipeg.
Wow, I love it. You're representing it. It will inspire others to other, artists and entrepreneurs too, because what you're doing is definitely, not common. And even among the tourism group, there's probably not a lot anybody else doing what you're doing. There's probably other types of agritourism, but
Mhm.
are there flower farms involved, or you're kind of unique to that?
I know that kind of the exact business model that I'm doing as a flower farm, natural dyer, and this experience tourism. I am the first, but I could be so I could be corrected. I know that other flower farms would bring in have the natural dyeing aspect, but they bring in the artist.
Like you said, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
the artist.
Yes.
Did I put you on the spot there? I love that,
No, yeah, it's so interesting. Like, I just do it, and yeah, I mean, yeah, people have said that that the artist, but I don't know where is the I yeah, I'm not comfortable in telling that myself. I'm your experienced guide. I think I love that better.
Okay. But I follow you on Instagram, and I have seen you post when you do sort of these one-off exhibitions or artists
Mm.
collectives. Like there's a lot of these opportunities that come up that you participate in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and actually, I know we don't have a lot of time, but like, yeah, I've been involved with the Manitoba Craft Council, and it's just a really been a beautiful experience to hone into that, like, to see flowers as an art piece, and I don't know, it just feels like the world is so dynamic that I can go either way. I'm free to explore what it is that my heart wanted to explore, with my hands. So it's been an incredible experience. And yeah, and Manitoba Craft Council with the Winnipeg Art Gallery hosted Crafted Show and Sale, and it was just a fantastic event. And I just love my time there. 3 days being there, and especially meeting people who came up to me and just wanted to talk about flowers and dyes. And yeah, it's been pretty incredible.
Wow. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh, Lourdes, I got to get to Manitoba. I want to see this amazing
Oh my
studio in
god,
the woods. It sounds so beautiful.
it would be
Congratulations.
yeah, it would be an honor like to host you one day whenever that be.
Yeah, I'm not that far away. I'm at least near the Canadian border. Well,
Okay,
listen,
okay.
this has been so great. We are not done with this show. Lourdes is going to send me a video that I can add as part two of this. And mind you, it's December, and there's no flowers growing, but I really want people to see your studio space. So thanks for offering to do that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Anything else I didn't ask you that you want to make sure we mention on the show?
Um oh, what else? I think one of in a way pivotal moment in my career, shifting to focusing on working with flowers, attending Becky Feasby's sustainable flowers workshop in 2019, which she calls now sustainable flowers project. It was became not only at that time, a space to like to learn and meet other people who are kind of like in the same journey, but I think it felt like a kinship building
Hmm. Hmm.
because it felt like okay, this the values that I have now and the reasons why I wanted to just focus on locally grown flowers. I'm not I am just like one of many who wanted
Yes.
the same kind of like trajectory. And yeah, it was a kinship building and I was so grateful. Actually, I heard of her through your podcast.
Oh my
And
goodness. How fun
yeah,
is
and
that?
yeah, and I have a trailer too that my husband built into a cooler, and at that time she has the trailer. So I was just like, who is this girl? So I looked her up and then found her on Instagram, and then I think it was the same year. So I think the interview was like the podcast episode was like April or something,
Mhm.
and then September that year I went to her workshop in
Yes,
Calgary.
yes, and she invited me to that September workshop, but I already had tickets to go see Earth, Wind& and Fire in LA. That was my excuse.
Yeah,
And then the following year, she's like, "Oh, come in 2020," and guess what? I think it was virtual, or no, I guess I joined by Zoom because I couldn't
I think the
travel.
following year.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
couldn't travel, but what a wonderful connection, that community that, all of the flower farmers in Canada have built independent, but I'm so grateful that you're part of Slow Flowers, and we do love our Becky. She's definitely out there,
of course.
connecting people, and that's what we need. We need to have community, and it does. I was just thinking about that listening to you. I was like, wow, it really takes a village of mentors and advisors and people in your physical community who want to see you succeed, even though they don't know anything about flower farming, but they want to nurture small businesses and young entrepreneurs. So it's
Yeah.
a great. I'm just inspired by your story, and
And I
I'm
think,
excited. I'm excited that when we post this at slowflowerspodcast.com, I'll also get some photos of your
oh
work
yeah,
that we can share. Okay,
mhm.
awesome. Do you ship to the U.S. at all, Lourdes? Has that happened yet, or is that
Yes. The sales scarf I do, but right now, it's so hard to restock the website with all the work. I don't have my employee anymore. Like it just ended the season, so
sure?
yeah, it's just so hard. Yeah, but what I have there right now is the DIY dye kit, which I think I shouldn't be actually shipping to the US.
Oh, all
So
right. Well, we won't hold you to that,
yeah,
but people can
yeah.
check you out and message you if they have a
Oh,
question.
for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and we'll see part two next.
Okay.
Take care. Okay, I'm going to try to get this video posted so you can see the little tour of the work in progress at Masagana Flower Farm. Hang on one sec. Here we go.
Hello, my name is Lourdes still from Masagana Flower Farm, and today I'm going to show you where the studio is. And also, I want to actually quickly show you where our garden plots are. So, as I mentioned with my interview with Deborah, that we did turn our front lawn into garden beds. So, this right here is covered in snow now. Um, it's been like this for a few weeks now, if not like since November. So this is about like 4,800 square feet of our lawns that we have like turned into garden beds. Between the year like 2016 until like 2021 is when um, we've turned the area of the lawn that we wanted to be garden beds. We still have some grasses in the front yard, and the plan for that now is to turn it into perennial native plants or native garden. So from here, it's not far from where the garden or where the gardens are, where people during my Tinta experience get to learn how we flower farm and also pick the flowers, and then bring that. The last 2 years taking my outdoor studio, but in 2023 we will walk back to the studio and use that for our eco printing and in our natural dyeing, the natural dyeing workshop, which is part of the Tint experience. So we decided to build it in the woods. So I don't even know, maybe like 100 feet away from where the garden beds are. So we're gonna go there and see what it looks like inside. So it is a 22 by 22 feet studio, so just under 500 square feet area. Because it is a public occupancy building, the building has to be wheelchair accessible. So and also it has to have like public washrooms. So in that small space, we're making it work. It will be wheelchair accessible and has a washroom inside. So here we are. So this will be the front door. So this is south facing, so we have one window in here, and this will be the garden patio doors, which will exit into the aspen forest. And then the north side will have another window and where my counter is going to be, so my work area. And then the west side will have that one big window, and so between the window and the door will be the washroom is, and we're putting in a composting toilet in that. There will be the main heat source of the studio will be a wood stove, which I'm going to put it here in the corner. And the space will be, we factored in when I was talking with the architect, that I can host comfortably between 4 to 6 group of people. So the trusses, so now between now until, it will take about like 8 weeks to have it delivered. So between now until the trusses is ready, so I'm raising half of the shortfall to finish the studio through a Kickstarter campaign. So I'll show you, I'll take you outside just to give you an idea kind of what is the space that the people will experience during their time here. So in the summer it will be lush and green, and my plan is so maybe have concrete pad in here, so we can actually even utilize outside during the summer. So it is just covered right now, but this is where the patio door is, and it will open to our aspen forest. And it's not too far from our house. So from this side, it's probably not even 100 feet from where our house is. So that is where our studio is, and I hope that you enjoyed that tour. Bye.
That was fun. I have one more little video to share before we wrap up that Lourdes just sent me, and we'll end on like summer and flowers. So hang with me while I pull that up. Never mind. It's going to take too long. I'll put it in our show notes at slowflowerspodcast.com so you can enjoy a video that Lourdes has filmed for her own promotions, but I can't upload it right now. So thank you so much for joining us today. Lourdes followed up with these details. She hosted between 75 and 81 Tinta Experience guests in 2021 and 2022, respectively. And with the opening of the studio, she's forecasting to double that and host an average of 160 guests annually, with summer being the busiest time of the year. So you'll want to check out episode 588 on slowflowerspodcast.com to see a gallery of her flowers and her textile projects and her workshops that Lourdes has shared with us. I'll also include a link to the replay video from the Dive into Dye Plants meetup from 2021, where you'll hear from Lourdes, but you'll also hear from Julie Beeler of Bloom and Dye and Elaine Vandiver of Golson Gardens, two other Slow Flowers members who are doing a lot of projects with dye plants. And a note about Lourdes' upcoming Kickstarter campaign to help raise funds to complete her studio. The studio construction is 2/3 finished, and Lourdes needs to raise the final funds to take her over the top and complete the structure for her 2023 season. She hopes to post a Kickstarter campaign early next week, and we'll share that link in our show notes for episode 588 at slowflowerspodcast.com, which you'll find when the podcast of this interview airs on December 14th. Before I go, I'd also like to thank our sponsors who bring this show to you. This show is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to more than 850 florists, shops, and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. And thank you to our lead sponsor, Farm Grow Flowers. Farm Grow Flowers delivers iconic burlap wrap bouquets and lush, abundant arrangements to customers across the U.S., supporting U.S. flower farms by purchasing more than $10 million of U.S. grown fresh and seasonal flowers and foliage annually. Discover more at farmgrowflowers.com. Thank you to Red Twig Farms. Based in Johnstown, Ohio, Red Twig Farms is a family-owned farm specializing in peonies, daffodils, tulips, and branches, a popular peony bouquet by mail program, and their Spread the Hope campaign, where customers purchase 10 tulip stems for essential workers and others in their community. You can learn more at redtwigfarms.com. Thank you to the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, a farmer-owned cooperative committed to providing the very best the Pacific Northwest has to offer in cut flowers, foliages, and plants. The Growers Market's mission is to foster a vibrant marketplace that sustains local flower farms and provides top-quality products and services to the local floral industry. Visit them at seattlewholesalegrowersmarket.com. And thank you to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high-quality flower bulbs and perennials. Their online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at Longfield Gardens. That's longfield-gardens.com. The Slow Flower Show is a member-supported endeavor, and I value our loyal members and supporters. If you're new to our weekly show or our long-running podcast, check out all of our resources at slowflowersociety.com. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of The Slow Flower Show and The Slow Flowers Podcast. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more slow flowers on the table, one stem, one vase at a time. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. Thanks so much for joining us today.